Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we are diving deep into the world of MSI packaging once again. This time, we'll unravel the intricacies of implementing custom settings for repackaged applications, and better than that, finding out where each application stores its settings. We are going to use VLC Media Player as our example. So let's get started. Now let's assume that we have successfully captured and repackaged VLC Media Player as an MSI. For more details, we have that covered in our first MSI Packaging Essentials ebook. But the next challenge is to understand and apply any required custom settings specific to this application. For example, in most cases in enterprises, the automatic updates must be disabled, and maybe some metadata you don't want to send, or some other further settings that are required for each and every application. So in this illustration, we'll focus on the fundamental enterprise packaging rule to disable the automatic updates. This will ensure controlled and consistent deployment across the network. Now, discovering where an application stores its settings is crucial, and several methods can be employed. The first one is that you can use Advanced Repackager with the session monitoring option. You also have other third-party tools like systracer. We already covered systracer in our first MSI packaging ebook, so you can check that out if you are not familiar with the tool. Or you can use other tools such as Process Monitor. This is a free tool which is offered directly by Microsoft. So let's view in this video how you can find out where the application stores its settings. Firstly, by using Advanced Repackager with the session monitoring, and then with the process monitor. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to use the Windows Sandbox, which now comes as a standard. And by the way, with Advanced Repackager, you can now run session monitoring or even set up captures directly in the Windows Sandbox. Now, let's start with Advanced Installer. So, as you already saw, I went to Advanced Repackager and clicked on session monitoring, but I will need to close this Windows Sandbox because we will need a fresh one, right? So we will close this, and yes, please permanently destroy all my content. Next, I will just click Start in Sandbox. I will need to give it a name, so let's say VLC Media Player Settings Capture, right? Sounds nice. Good. Now that our project is saved, the Windows Sandbox will open, and Advanced Installer will start to install its tools onto the VM. We just need to wait a couple of seconds. Of course, we are going to ignore this. And now the initial system state capture has been started. This will take only a couple of minutes. Good. Now it will ask us if we are ready to proceed, but we are not ready because firstly, because this is a fresh opening of the Windows Sandbox, of course, we will not have VLC Media Player installed, so we will need to download it and first install it, right? So that's easy. Just click here. I just want to download, please. Great, now let's go and install it. So double click, I will install it as default, blah blah blah, next. Good. Now here, make sure that this is checked and don't click on finish, right? Because we really need to start to capture what is happening. So I will press enter here. Now Advanced Installer starts to capture the system changes. Now we can start to configure the system, or in this case configure VLC Media Player to catch any settings, right? So I'm going to click finish. I don't want to allow any metadata network access, and I don't want to check for updates. Of course, you can go to tools, preferences, and I don't want to resize this. I only want one instance. Maybe display the playlist tree. Click save, close VLC, and that's pretty much it. Next, you click enter again. Now Advanced Installer will start to process the collected data from the process monitor. It will capture the system state again, and then we'll do a comparison with the initial system state. And now that this CMD window is gone, we can go to Advanced Repackager, and hey, there it is. This is our capture. And if we have a look, because I think everybody knows at this point, at least every packager on this planet did VLC Media Player at least once. In the app data folder, we have captured the VLC folder. And in this VLC folder, you have your VLC RC file, the INI for the interface, and the XFPF. Right, so these are the files which are created, and these are the files where the settings for VLC Media Player are stored. So now that we are done with Advanced Repackager, of course, you need a file, right? So you need to add it into your MSI. So go to App Data, right? Copy the folder onto your machine, and these are your settings. Good. So now that we have this solved, I want to close the Windows Sandbox, and I want to open a new instance of the Windows Sandbox, because I want to show you the Process Monitor tool. So if we go to Google, or in this case I think it's Bing as default, yeah, nice, okay, Process Monitor, please download it, thank you very much. Good, now let's extract the files. I don't have 7-zip, of course, this is a tragedy. Good, and next let's download VLC Media Player again and install it. Before VLC Media Player is downloaded, we can actually open up our Process Monitor, agree with the terms, and now there are some things we need to do. First of all, we need to start the capture process, right? Because right now Process Monitor is checking everything that's happening on your computer, and as you can see, we already have 83,000 events, so that's not good. It will take a lot of time to actually search for what VLC Media Player is doing in this case. So let's clear the log, and then we will go to filter, again filter, and for example, in this case, for the VLC, if you want to see what the executable is doing, in this case our VLC.exe, we can put a filter only to show the entries for that specific process. So we can go here and select process name is VLC.exe, then include, so include all the entries which are matching this process name, click add, and click OK. Don't start the capture. Good. Now let's install VLC Media Player again. Next, blah blah blah. Good. Now before we click finish, we can start the capture, and now we click finish. Okay, I don't want this. I also want some preferences to be changed. Blah 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 blah. Save and close. Good. Now I want to stop the capture, and of course it will be a little bit harder to actually figure out where the settings are being stored. In this case, we already know it's not that complicated. Where VLC stores these settings, you already saw it in the past, but if we consider that you have an application which you have never seen in your life, you have a problem, because you need to check either in the files, either in the registry. So what I would do, I would disable to show the network activity and process and thread activity, because we don't need that, but for all but file system activity and registry activity, these are the only two places where applications usually store their data. Of course, in this case, we already know that VLC doesn't have anything in the registry, so we can either click this, or if you want, you can right click and exclude, for example, the reg query value operation, right? Then we can exclude the reg open key, reg close key, and so forth and so on, until you have a much more cleaner capture, right? As you can see, from 114,000 events, we only see 2,900 at the moment. Now, when VLC is opening, of course, it's going to query and open a lot of files, and that's why I'm saying it's much trickier to interpret what is happening and where those settings are actually being kept. But I think if we scroll a little bit lower, let's see, it's definitely not in program files, right? So let's scroll. It should be somewhere in the user profile. Let's see, what do we, there you go. And there you go. You see, VLC tries to create this settings file because it's not found. It doesn't have it at the first open up of the VLC. Also, I am guessing if we are going to look a little bit lower, we are also going to see the rest of the files which we previously captured. But this is the way you actually find your application settings with Process Monitor. It's not easy, it's much harder, and as I mentioned, these are the VLC.ini, and this is also in program data. So this is how you actually capture what the application is doing with Process Monitor, and maybe you can figure out where the settings are stored. Now, to finish this video, we also need to take in consideration that once you find these files, right, you need to place them in your MSI and somehow make sure that these are copied. As reminded in many other videos, when it comes to enterprise deployments, when you install an MSI, you don't install it in the current logged in user's account. The main reason is that most of the users in enterprises don't have administrator rights. So when you install a certain software package inside your infrastructure, you are going to install it with the NT system administrator account. So where is the problem? Well, the problem is that you will most likely have advertised shortcuts, right? So what does an advertised shortcut do? You can actually watch the previous video because we have touched base on this topic. But if your MSI is deleted from the installation location, it will ask for the MSI media in order to self-heal and place those files. I already mentioned in the previous video the two ways you can handle this situation. So this is actually what I'm going to show you here. It's actually the first way, right? So if we go to files and folders, you will see that under the application folder, which is C program files VLC, I created an additional folder called user data, and inside it I placed the VLC folder which is created during the initial launch of VLC. And this is where the settings files are stored, right? Next, if we check the shortcuts, all of these are advertised shortcuts. Actually, this is not. We can also advertise it. Okay, advertised. Okay, so this is my bad. So all of these shortcuts must be advertised, right? Then in the registry, we need to make sure that we placed a random dummy key here, right? And if we go to custom actions, we will see that I have a copy folder .vbscript file, which actually what it does is during the install stage or maintenance stage, right, the repair stage or self-healing stage, this copies the files from C program files VLC user data. So this copies the whole folder inside the app data folder. The app data folder is the folder which is mapped to your account. So for example, if my account was named Alex, I will have C users Alex app data roaming. So this is what it does. When the advertised shortcut is triggered, it will check if all the registry and files are there. The current user registry key will not appear. The MSI will start a self-healing process. In the self-healing process, this custom action is then executed, and this custom action copies from C program files all the necessary data inside your app data folder. I know it sounds complicated, but trust me, once you have done it at least 1 or 2 times, it will be like a breeze. And there you have it. This is the journey through custom settings in MSI packaging. and it's both intricate and rewarding. So you need to understand the tools, techniques and best practices, and then you are equipped to deliver applications with precision and reliability. Thank you for joining us in today's exploration, and if you found this video informative, don't forget to hit that like button, share with fellow tech enthusiasts and subscribe for more valuable content. Stay tuned for our next video and we'll continue unraveling the mysteries of IT and software development. Until then, keep learning and evolving. Bye guys.